Hey there all you gals and gents, this is Axolotl Aristotle here today to talk about the Green New Deal. This deal isn't something new, it's been all around the mainstream media for years now, but since the revelation that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez might be debating Marjorie Taylor Greene about it, I figure that now is as good a time as any to discuss why it exists and what it hopes to accomplish. Before we start, however, I should note something. This video is aimed primarily towards conservatives and anyone on the center or left that doesn't know what the Green New Deal is. But if you do, feel free to stick around anyways. Everyone's welcome. Now, I think one of the biggest dividers on the Green New Deal is the recognition that climate change does exist, and that it's a problem caused by humanity that can be fixed by human effort. I'm not going to make this entire video devoted to explaining how and why climate change exists and is caused by us. There is ample evidence to support this. Even the Conservative political party of Canada's leadership acknowledges its existence, though the voters in its party still don't. If, for whatever reason, you are not convinced that climate change is real and is a problem, I will have some links to articles in the description that discuss the data and evidence that proves it. So feel free to keep watching this video, because although most people think of the environment when they hear about the Green New Deal, the deal also concerns itself with other areas that I will touch on. But I'm getting ahead of myself right now. Let's start with what you might think the Green New Deal is. If you're a leftist, liberal, or centrist, you probably have a decent idea that the proposal is here to combat climate change. And yes, you would be correct. The Green New Deal does state the potential consequences of inaction against this threat. Mass migration from the regions most affected by climate change, more than $500 billion in lost annual economic output in the United States by the year 2100, wildfires that, by 2050, will annually burn at least twice as much forest area in the western United States than was typically burned by wildfires in the years preceding 2019. A loss of more than 99% of all coral reefs on Earth, more than 350 million more people to be exposed globally to deadly heat stress by 2050, and a risk of damage to $1 trillion of public infrastructures and coastal real estate in the United States. If you're a conservative, well, you might think it refers to these things.
Let's get a read on something else that's catching a lot of people's attention, this Green New Deal, that according to a guy who used to run the Congressional Budget Office, Douglas Eakin, he put pen to paper, started crunching things with spreadsheets and all of that, and said it could be $93 trillion.
About as direct as it could be. The Green New Deal is not designed to save the world. It's not about the environment at all. It's about power. Chakrabarty and Ocasio-Cortez want control of the American economy. They went looking for an issue that would justify a hostile takeover of the economy. Climate change seems scary, so they went with that.
The dumbest, most ridiculous, where airplanes are out of business, where two-car systems are out, where they want to take out the cows, too. You know, that's not true either, right?
I just want to make it clear now that no, none of what you just saw and heard was true. The Green New Deal isn't some Trojan horse that's here to make you all cower in fear until the progressives have total control of the government, the United States won't become a dictatorship, and we won't ban cows and their farts. As for the $93 trillion price tag, well, the Green New Deal is only a set of goals and aspirations right now. Nothing is concrete. It's like if I told you I was going to buy a new PC without saying any of the hardware that I wanted with it. The cost could be very high or very low depending what I ultimately end up deciding on. This also goes with how we would pay for the cost of the Green New Deal. It could be high taxation on the rich, for example. But again, the Green New Deal doesn't have a concrete amount stapled to it, and it doesn't have a concrete way to pay for it right now either. But before I talk about why this malleability is important, I think I'll start off by saying what the overall general goals of the Green New Deal are. 1. To create millions of good, high-wage jobs in the United States. 2. To provide unprecedented levels of prosperity and economic security for all people of the United States. And 3. To counteract systemic injustices. Wait, what? If you, like me, had thought that the Green New Deal was purely about climate change, those overarching goals might come as a shock. I mean, they don't even reference climate change in them. Well, the reason for this is simple. These goals tie into combating climate change. For example, take goal number 1, creating all these new jobs. In order to combat climate change, the United States has to transfer over to green energy. Not only will this mean new jobs in that industry, but what about current and future buildings that, according to the deal, need to achieve maximum energy efficiency, water efficiency, safety, affordability, comfort, and durability, including through electrification. We would need many, many new and current construction workers in order to achieve that. Of course, there will also be some standard restrictions set in place, things like carbon emissions from businesses and vehicles. Moving to green energy and preventing as much carbon emissions as possible will help the environment. It will also lead to notable benefits to the general population, such as clean water that won't kill you or make you extremely sick, looking at you, Flint, Michigan, sorry to say, prevent local ecosystems and infrastructure from being destroyed, and stop citizens from being killed due to poorly made and maintained infrastructure, like when Pacific Gas and Electric lines caused a huge statewide wildfire in California back in 2018. The Green New Deal is chock full of many initiatives to improve our country. I could go into detail for many of these initiatives, but honestly it would do them more justice to give them videos of their own. I will, however, list them now, and if you would like to see me make a video on a specific initiative, either because you're interested in it, or you're wondering why it would need to be addressed, please leave a comment down below or contact me through the email I leave in the description. Upgrading the agricultural industry in order to have sustainable farming, a sustainable food system so that everyone can have healthy food. The meat industry in particular is a very problematic part of our food system right now. And no, that doesn't mean that we're going to cut out meat entirely. That would just be unfeasible and unacceptable to demand everyone just stop eating meat. Revamping the transportation industry, both private and public, cleaning up toxic waste sites and preventing more from being made, protecting endangered ecosystems, and providing every US citizen with quality training and education. It will also allow workers to unionize, have jobs that are high-paying with a living wage, and preventing all new jobs from being sent overseas to other countries. We would also nationalize certain industries such as electricity. And finally, providing all citizens with affordable and safe housing, including high-quality healthcare. Many of the things I just listed, like good healthcare, wages, housing, etc., all fall under the second overall goal of providing all citizens with unprecedented levels of prosperity and economic security. I'd also like to take a moment to discuss some potential problems that I feel conservative viewers might have. I know that systemic injustice, ensuring equality, and helping indigenous people are very touchy topics for people that fall on the conservative side of the political spectrum. Of course, I do support these things, but those topics are so advanced and detailed that each one needs its own video. So the only thing I will touch on here is that yes, under the Green New Deal, minorities and indigenous people will receive a bit more aid than others. However, and I stress that this is important, that doesn't mean you won't receive anything. You'll get all the caveats of the Green New Deal: clean air, clean water, good food. You'll have good paying jobs where there are amazing benefits like guaranteed paid sick leave, maternity leave, and vacation time. Just because one group of people may receive more aid than you doesn't mean that you should be vehemently against a bill that would also make your life better too. In addition, I know people on the right are afraid of the government getting too big and too powerful. That if the government reaches its hand out, it's the first step towards a dictatorship, and because of this, there is a fear that the Green New Deal would lead to a dictatorship by progressives. I can assure you that that isn't the case. In fact, there are several instances within the Green New Deal that specifically state things that should be done from the bottom up and handled as locally as possible. The reasoning behind this is that we understand that the government is unable to be omniscient. The federal government is unable to know exactly the best solutions for every single community at all times. The bureaucracy created by such a system would only stagnate it, and nothing would get done. That's why there would be general guidelines to follow, such as lowering carbon emissions. But the monetary aid would be sent directly to the local governments, the towns and counties, so that they can best utilize those resources to better their communities, preserve their local ecosystems, and repair their local infrastructure. Finally, coming back to a topic I stated earlier, it's important to realize that the Green New Deal isn't a policy, at least not yet. It does not have set-in-stone solutions or conditions. Instead, it's simply a list of goals and aspirations with the beginnings of what the more detailed solution should be. This malleability is its strength, because if there is a good idea that helps move the United States and all of its citizens into a more prosperous age, it will be added in with open arms. If there is something about it you dislike, it can be discussed. And this leads us to the beauty of Hegelian dialectics. Yes, I know this is a complex idea, and I'm certainly not a Hegel scholar. Oh god, no. So, I will just give you all a brief overview. Basically, Hegelian dialectics is when two ideas, completely opposite to each other, are forced into conflict with one another. This would be the thesis and the antithesis. For Hegel, the ideal situation is not when one idea prevails completely over the other. Instead, the ideal solution is that these two things come together, combining their strongest parts with one another and losing the weakest ones. This is what would be referred to as the synthesis. We're not opposed to hearing other ideas or criticisms of our own, so long as they are made in good faith. This will only lead to the strengthening of the Green New Deal, increasing its effectiveness at allowing our country to become truly incredible and lead the world into a new era. Before I end this video, I'd like to give some examples of what good faith arguments are and what they are not. They are not when you continuously deny facts that data and evidence support, or when you call people names like libtard, snowflake, etc. A good faith argument is when you come to the table with a genuine concern or counterpoint. For example, if someone were to say that transferring over completely to green energy will harm anyone who currently works in the coal, gas, and oil industries, we would agree it would cause them to be unemployed and suffer. We don't want that. In the face of this, the supporter of the Green New Deal would have to work with the person posing the question to find a solution. That solution, or rather synthesis, could be that those people who work in the gas, oil, and coal industries can be retrained for jobs in the field of green energy. Marx himself thought that technological advances would allow workers to be able to be trained to work in almost any sector, and that was nearly 200 years ago. In accordance with the goals of the Green New Deal as mentioned earlier, these new jobs will be better paying, with greater benefits to its employees. They would also be safer. According to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, mining is an extremely dangerous industry where employees are more likely to be killed or to incur a non-fatal injury or illness, and their injuries are more likely to be severe than workers in private industry as a whole. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video or learned something from it, or to dislike it if you didn't. If you have any questions or something you would like to share, please leave a comment. I would love to provide more clarification and hear your thoughts on both my video and the Green New Deal. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me and this channel. There are numerous tiers and rewards to choose from, like having your name at the end of my videos. Making videos like this that hopefully make a difference is a goal of mine, and I can create them on a more consistent basis with your support.